Hey guys, Chris here from Boxing Brothers Online Coaching, and I'm here in Currumbin Valley, Gold Coast, Queensland. Today's video is going to be about the double jab. We're going to be covering it on an offensive and a defensive scale, footwork, the follow-up, and everything else you need to know about the double jab. Alright, firstly and probably most importantly, we're going to cover the footwork. Okay, so when you're throwing your double jab, it's obviously with your lead hand. Okay, and what you need to be doing is taking 2 small steps forward with that lead foot whenever you throw it. Whether you're moving forward, whether you're moving back, you want to try to synchronise the double jab with your footwork. You want your feet to come with you. You don't want to be top heavy with that double jab. You don't want to keep your feet still and be going double jab and transferring your weight forward, or double jab and leaning back and ending up like out of shape and vulnerable against your opponent. So, whenever you're throwing that double jab, for example, if I'm moving forward, I'm going to be doing 2 little steps with that lead foot, and that rear foot is going to be following that lead foot. Okay, that's moving forward. So from this position, the footwork is step, step, 2 small steps with the lead foot, and the rear foot should be following accordingly. You don't want to be leaving that rear foot behind. So in this position, I don't want to be going double left and leaving my rear foot in the past. I want to be going double jab and bringing that rear foot forward. Double jab, 2 steps with the lead foot, and the rear foot is following. Likewise, if you're moving backwards and around to the left and right, okay? If I'm moving backwards, it's double jab, I'm taking my feet with me. If I'm moving around to my left, I'm going double jab. If I'm moving around to my right, double jab. The feet need to be making small micro adjustments to accommodate for the transferring of weight, and so that you can deliver that double jab, and then eventually follow up, etc., or receive punches after having delivered it. You don't want to be leaving the feet behind. Make sure whenever you double jab, the feet come with you. The feet come with you. Double jab forward, back, little steps. They don't need to be big steps. Keep your weight in the center and move those feet. All right. So next we're going to focus on the punch itself. Okay. So there's many ways for this to be done. I'm going to focus on the fundamental and what I find to be the most efficient and successful way. With the double jab, you want to be punching it all the way back and forth. Okay. A lot of people throw that first jab, right, and then when they throw that second one, it's kind of long, and then it's another little stabbing short one. That can be done. Personally, I like to bring it all the way back to my guard. So for example, if I'm here, I'm going to be going jab, pulling it back, and then jabbing again. Pulling it back all that way is going to help generate a little bit more power behind that second jab, okay? And you're going to get a full range of motion in that jab. Really throw your opponent off. You do want to be throwing it quite quickly if you're going to do it like this, okay? Because your hand is leaving your guard twice, and you also want to be bringing it back really, really high, okay? So personally, what I like to be doing is throwing that first jab, pulling it back, and then launching that second jab, and I keep my chin down nice and tight. So the hand from the guard goes out to the target, it pulls back, I keep it clenched, yeah, keep it clenched, and then bang, launch it back out again. So you're moving around, you're going double jab, you're bringing that hand all the way back to the guard, double jab, all the way back to the guard. Double jab, the head stays down, and I bring that hand back nice and high so that in between my double jab, if my opponent does start throwing, at least my hand is close to my guard and I'm not as vulnerable to get hit. Alright, so moving around, pull it all the way back. Pull it all the way back, keep the chin down and bring that hand back nice and high. Keep it clenched over those 2 jabs. Alright, so the double jab can be used in various circumstances. Okay, it can be used offensively or defensively. Yeah? Or it can just be used as coasting, a little bit of a feint. The circumstances in which it can be applied are various. I'm not going to cover every single one. We're going to keep it basic. We're going to separate it into offensive and defensive. Okay? So, for example, if you're shifting forward, you're stalking your opponent, you're trying to get a little bit closer, you know, they're a bit of a back foot boxer and you're trying to move in on them. The double jab is a great way to cover distance against your opponent by creating a little bit of a distraction and getting in nice and close to them. So myself being a short boxer, I'll use the double jab quite often, right? So that I can get a little bit closer to my opponent and get my hands out there to kind of keep them a little bit occupied in the meantime. Whereas if I just move in on them, and maybe with one jab, it's easier for them to deal with. Whereas when I move forward offensively, okay, and I throw that double jab, I can cover a great deal of distance. I can keep them occupied, maybe bring their hands to their guard, and then once I use that double jab as an offensive tool, once I'm in there, then I can throw my scoring shots. So the double jab isn't always necessarily as a means to land. It can be as a means to get in there. So oftentimes, on the move, moving forward, I'll double jab my way in, and then once I'm in, let my shots go and try to actually land those shots. You can also use the double jab offensively to land. So the first jab you throw, kind of light, okay, you throw it light, and then the next one you kind of launch at them a little bit harder. And oftentimes they're not anticipating to receive that second jab. They think it's a single jab coming, so they might parry it or slip it or lean back on it, and that second one comes through and boom, you land it. So up against your opponents, if you see that you throw a jab and they kind of go a little bit funny, put another jab behind and try to land it. So use the first jab as a bit of a distraction, yeah, and then the second jab as a weapon. All right, and then you can use it defensively. So if you've got someone that comes forward a lot, okay, someone that's coming forward and doing the opposite to what we just discussed. You've got someone coming forward and trying to stalk you, they're trying to get over your shots and with their hands up. You want to be moving on the back foot and keeping them off with that double jab. Yeah, and again, taking your feet with you. As they're coming forward, that single jab, they might comfortably slip and go over the top of it, or they might shut it or parry it or whatever. That double jab is always going to make life that a little bit harder, especially when you start putting right hands behind it or rear hands behind it. What are the orthodox or southpaw? So on a defensive scale, you can be moving backwards on the back foot and double jab. You want to be cautious that when they're coming forward, they're going to be throwing a lot more. So when you throw that double jab moving back, you want to keep opening that gap. Keep opening that gap, because if you're moving back, chances are they're moving forward. You don't want to move back, stop and double jab, and then continue moving back. You want to move back and continue to move back on that double jab and hopefully walk them onto it. Alright, next we're going to talk about following up the double jab. This is where people go wrong, so wrong, okay? When you throw the double jab, more often than not, 9 times out of 10, you're at a long range. The double jab is the longest tool in the arsenal, okay? Nothing gets longer than this, more long range than that. If you throw a double jab against your opponent with your offensive, defensive, moving to the left, moving to the right, you more often than not are going to end up at a long range, okay? So you've got to make sure that when you pluck them with that rear hand, that you're looking to really land and do some damage, whether it's a hook, an uppercut to the body, to the head, try to throw a long range. How often do you see boxers moving around, they throw that double jab and then a big uppercut and they miss it? Or they throw a double jab and they swing a hook and they miss it. Because they're throwing a double jab, which creates probably the greatest distance between you and your opponent at that moment. You're pushing them back or you're keeping them off, and then you want to throw a swinging shot, it's going to miss. You need to be throwing that double jab and then following it up with a shooting rear hand down the center, or you need to throw that double jab and shoot that uppercut, throw the double jab, shoot the hook, or drop to the body. It needs to be followed up with another long range shot. So whenever you're throwing your double jab and you follow it up with a rear hand, right, to cash in on it, you need to make sure that wherever that double jab went, yeah, double jab, that's where that shot needs to go. Exactly there, overhand right to the body. It needs to land at the same range. Otherwise, you're going to be missing that shot all night, and that double jab is going to be a big waste of time. So make sure that the follow-up shot is a long range punch, and you'll start landing a lot more after those double jabs. All right, so now we're going to focus on the 3 different types, okay? There's lots of different types, but we're going to focus just on 3 different types of double jabs, okay? So the first one is going to be levels. You don't always need a double jab to the head, okay? You don't always need a double jab to the head. You can be moving around and mix up the levels of your double jab. So you might move around and go up, down, yeah? You might move around and go down, down, okay? We saw a lot of that with the Wilder Fury fight. Wilder, in those first couple of rounds coming out when he had gas in the tank, he was going straight to Fury's body and it worked really well. If only he could do that for the rest of the fight. But he was going for those double jabs, he was going to those jabs to the body and he was landing them, okay? Because they were difficult to deal with, they weren't predictable, and they kept changing from up and down, yeah? So whenever you double jab, you don't always have to go double jab to the head. It can be up, down, it can be down, up. And the more versatile you become in your double jab, the harder it is for your opponent to combat that double jab. Now the next type can be an evasive double jab. So when you throw that double jab, we discussed how you can do levels, but then you can do evasive double jab. So for example, I might throw my first jab with my head off the center, and then my second jab with my head off the center. Just in case your opponent does go to counter that initial jab, having anticipated it to be just one-off shot. So you're not going jab, walking onto their shot on your second jab. You go jab, and then you throw it again, and you get your head off the center. Yeah? You go jab, you throw it again, you get your head off the center. Or vice versa. You might go head off the center, and then follow up with another jab. So you intersect their first jab. Your opponent's throwing their jab, you go slip. Their shot goes over your shoulder, you've landed, and then you follow up with another jab. Okay? You can slip in the opposite direction as well. You can go boom, boom. As long as that head gets off the center on the first or the second jab, you can even keep it off for both jabs. Oftentimes I'll slip that jab, and then I can see they're going to throw a 1-2. I've slipped jab on their one, and I just keep my head off the center for that second one, just to make sure I don't get hit in the process of throwing that double jab. Evasive double jab. Use it. It's a great tool, guys. And the last one is staggering the jab. When I say staggering the jab, I'm referring to the timing and the application, the intensity behind that jab. So whenever you throw that double jab, it doesn't always need to be pop, pop. It doesn't have to have that rhythm of boom, boom. It can be slightly delayed, it can be slightly faster. The time spent between those two jabs can be longer or shorter. So for example, I might throw a double jab, you know, pop, pop, your traditional double jab. Sometimes I might go pop, pop, yeah? Try to mix up the rhythm of that double jab and stagger it as much as you can. And as far as intensity goes, you can throw the first one fast and then the second one hard. You can throw the first one harder than the second one fast. You might throw a jab hard, land it, and then you see him trying to come at you, you just kind of keep him away to measure. Stagger the way that you apply that jab, both the timing and the intensity. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you found it informative. Make sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. I'll see you next time.